Someone sent this in, so I thought I would just make a recording. This actually answers a lot of questions in this section, so I'll just go ahead and start. First, input all the data. Here's the data, okay? I did as much as I can beforehand to save time on the video. And again, when you watch these videos in the course and this one, I go fast because I don't want to bore people with long, drawn out videos. But the thing about videos is you have a chance to pause, rewind, take notes, rewind, pause, take notes, fast forward, whatever you need to do. So there's no sense in me sitting there pausing in the video while you take notes when you could just when you could do it and pause yourself. Okay. All right. So just FYI, you don't have to do this on a spreadsheet, but I did it. I like to do it like Q1. Just type it in. You don't need to do anything else. Just type it in so you know exactly what you're finding. Okay. And you input the data here. You can optionally do this. Okay. If you want. But for regardless, pick a cell not within the data. Okay. For the first quartile, you would go formulas, more functions. Actually, you'll see more functions if you spread this out. More functions, it's the last little arrow drop. Statistical, and you go quartile.exe. Make sure you use quartile.exe, okay? And you can move this over if it's in the way of your data. You just slide it over with your cursor. Highlight the data. Now for Q1 and Q3, you have one more step to do. For first quartile, you put 1 there. For third quartile, you put 3 there. This is Q1 or first quartile. And watch the videos. Please watch the other videos to explain if you haven't seen any of my videos embedded in the course yet. I'm not going to do it in this video. I did explain what Q1 median and Q3 means and all that. So I'm not going to do that in this video. Okay. 2.1 is the Q1. Okay. All right. Q3, all right, is, okay, and then put that there. Now I put my cursor here simply because I already said this is going to be my Q1 identified, but if you didn't do this, just put it anywhere, okay, put it anywhere, but make sure it's away from this data so you don't accidentally include this number in any array you pick. All right, so Q3 do the exact same thing. Now, the nice thing about Excel, once you use a formula, you could go in the recently used and it shows up. So you don't have to go through everything I just showed you once you use formulas. See, these are things I've used recently. Quartile.exe, make sure it's .exe, highlight the data again, and go to, now you have to enter 3 because this is Q3, third quartile. So that would be 3.5, okay? For the mean is different than the median. Okay, just to be clear, the mean is the same thing as average. You add up all the data and divide by, in this case, 15. Okay, but you can do that by hand if you want, but it's a lot quicker and easier. You got Excel out, you got the data there. Just use, now for this one, it's average. Do I have it up here? No. So statistical average. Okay, so highlight the data. You do not need to put anything in the other box for the average or the mean, okay? Same thing, all right? So rounded to the decimal places, 2.91 goes here, okay? The median is different. Okay, the mean is add them up, divide by 15. The median is if you put the, I'll explain Q1 median and Q3 real quick. If I wrote these, you don't have to, but if you had all this data and you put them in lowest to highest, the median is the number that's right in the middle, not the average, but the number that actually sits right in the middle. So if there's 15 data points, it would be 3.6. Okay, but I mean, if it's, I don't know, these aren't in order. I don't know what it is. So if you listed the data in order from lowest to highest, it's not 3.6 unless it's just a coincidence. The seventh highest would be, or the eighth highest, I'm sorry, would be the median because then you have 7 lower and 7 higher. So the median is the number that's actually right in the middle, different than the mean. So because I didn't put them in order, I don't know what it is, but let the computer do it for you. Let Excel do everything for you. Um, or statistical, there's median, and you don't have to put anything in the other slot as well. You just highlight the data and you're done. Okay. Hit OK. There's your 3.2. Okay. All right. The mode is whatever appears most. Okay. So whatever number appears the most. So what appears the most here? Looks like 3.2. 3.2 appears twice and no other number appears twice, so it's 3.2. You could use mode. There's a mode function in here too if you just, if you don't want to do it. If you want to use Excel, I'll do it real quick. Statistical mode, so you don't have to, if you don't want to, if you want to just use this real quick. I think it's mode singular, just every mode singular works. See 3.2, okay? The range is simply the highest minus the lowest, okay? So the highest number is 4, and the lowest number is 1.8. 4 minus 1.8 is 2.2, okay? All right. Okay, now the IQR is simply Q3 minus Q1, Q3 minus Q1. So if you do Q3, 3.5 minus 2.1, 3.5 minus 2.1 is 1.4, right? Okay. All right. So now, okay, let's just check and make sure all my answers are right before we move on to the next phase. Submit, because this one doesn't give answers for some reason. Okay, yeah. All right. Didn't make any mistakes. I tend to make mistakes sometimes. I'm doing this on the fly. I didn't do this beforehand. Okay. So now, are there any outliers? What is an outlier? Let's just say clocking speeds of cars going down the street. They're 35, 38, 39, 37, 42, 29, 35, 38, 45, 90. Okay. Whoa, where'd that 90 come from, right? That's an outlier. That's like so far away from the rest of the data that you may not want to include it in your analysis just because it's so rare, and it probably won't happen again in your analysis. Same thing if I gave you all those speeds and I said 7 miles per hour. 7 miles per hour is so much slower than the rest of the data that you may not want to include that too. So outliers, there's a formula to figure out if you have all the data points, which data points are considered outliers, and then it's up to you now. You don't have to know anything for this course whether you should include outliers or not. That's up to the statistician doing real world work. Not classwork here. But if I were doing the work, I would say, well, are there any data that I want to exclude? So the lower number, there's fences. The lower fence number, and I call it the upper fence number. Anything below the lower fence would be an outlier, and anything above the upper fence would be an outlier. So in the example that I just gave you, the 7 miles per hour, I'm sure, would be under that lower fence number, given all that data. I'm not going to do it, but it would be. And that 90 miles per hour would be above that upper fence number in that data, and anything in between would not be an outlier, okay? So they're asking, is any of this data an outlier? So you figure out that lower fence number, that upper fence number, and if any of the data falls below this lower number that you calculate or above the upper number you calculate, they're an outlier. If none of them do, then the answer is 0. So let's try it out. So the lower would be Q1, which is 2.1. You can do this on your calculator. Now, you don't need Excel. I'm showing you this right now, but back up. I put this formula here and put this formula here because I want to show you how to do it. And something visual, because I have Excel up. That's the only reason I'm using Excel right now. You do not need Excel for this. I'm just showing you the formula, and you do not need Excel to do the calculation. Just do it with your calculator. Okay, 2.1 minus 1.5 times the IQR, which is, what's the IQR? 1.4. So now I'm going to refer to my calculator. Okay. So I'm not using Excel right now. I'm just simply typing stuff in so that you can see what I'm doing. So 2.1 minus 1.5 times 1.4 is 0. So the answer here is 0. So anything below 0, I know it's not possible, but anything below 0 would be considered an outlier. So we know there's no lower number outliers, okay? Everything here. Okay, now let's see if we have any upper fence numbers. Now, we don't have anything below 0, obviously. So now let's see if we have anything above the upper in this data point. So the upper would be Q3. And again, I'm just typing here. You do this on your calculator. Just typing it to show you at this point. These are the ones right here. Input this data, you have to do that. And these ones right here, you have to use Excel. Everything else is just, visual. Okay, everything else I'm showing you, like all these here, in these formulas and everything I'm showing you here. It's all just for visual purpose. Okay. So Q3 would be 3.5 plus 1.5 times the IQR, which is 1.4. So on my calculator, that upper fence number, let's see, is 3.5 plus 1.5 times 1.4 equals 5.6. So if there are any data above 5.6, that would be an outlier. So any data between 0 and 5.6 are not outliers. And there is no data below 0 or above 5.6. So the number of outliers in this data set is good old goose egg. Okay, hope that helps.